Shalom, Israel. This is your brother Lamad Lacan. And before I get started, I first want to give all praise, honor, glory, reverence, esteem, and worship to the Most High Elohim of Israel, Yahweh. And to him only do I give praise and worship to. Today, I'm going to be discussing Daniel 3 and 25. A friend of mine who's new to being Tanakh only, who's new to being Yah only, who has dropped the New Testament and the God of the New Testament, JC the Christ. I'm not going to say his name because we're commanded not to mention the name of other gods. That being said, someone sent him Daniel 3 and 25. Even though they didn't say why they were sending it, it's understood that they're attempting to reference Christ of the New Testament and say, see, he's here all throughout the Old Testament, which I don't like saying Old Testament. I call it the Tanakh. So they want to say he's here. He's all throughout the Tanakh. See, he's here. He's here. He was always here. So let's start. I'm going to read Daniel 3 and 25. And it reads, "He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God." All right. In Christianity, and I was once a Christian too, we see that capital S, or the Son of God with that capital S. It's been taught that that's talking about JC. It's just someone said it, it passed on, and it passed on. So before I really dive into it, I really believe in getting context of what's happening because it's important. So I'm going to go back to Daniel chapter 1. And I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to read the first 2 verses. It reads, "In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it." So Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, has just taken Judah captive. They're now in captivity. Verse 2, "And Yahweh gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of Elohim, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure of his God." So whenever you're captive, the oppressor is going to take the spoils. He's going to take your possessions. So in this case, he took the holy vessels of the Most High God, and he's going to bring it into the house of his gods, his idols. So now let's go back to Daniel 3. We're going to go to the top. I'm going to read the majority of this chapter. You're going to know what's going on. This is how we get context. And let's see if JC the Christ holds up. If he's there, he's there. It'll show. But if he's not, we'll see. Daniel 3 and 1. "Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, that's 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon." So he's got this big statue or image kind of thing that he just had built. Verse 2, "Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up." So he called his big dogs. Come see this idol that I built. Verse 3, "Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So they came out, basically. That's just saying it. The big dogs came out. It's like those award shows that come on TV and they got the trophy and all the big dogs of Hollywood and politicians, athletes, they all come out. It's all Hollywood, and they come out to see the image. All right, verse 4. Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and language. Here comes the command from the king. Verse 5. That at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So it's been decreed that when you hear this music, you're supposed to bow down to this false god, this image that the kings of Babylon set up. Verse 6. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So that's the penalty. You don't bow down to this image, this object, you're going in the furnace. Verse 7. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshiped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. So the people, they adhered to it. Verse 8. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. So these Chaldeans were giving accusation. Remember now, Jew comes from the word Judah. Judah is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. So we talking about Israelites right here. They're being accused. Remember now, Judah's in captivity. So these Jews, they're an oppressed people at this point. Sound familiar, black man of America? All right. Verse 9. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. So they're reiterating the command. Verse 11. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So they're reiterating the penalty for not bowing down to the image. Verse 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon. So these are some of the higher ups of the oppressed people, of the Jews. They kind of they've moved up in, in like today's time, a black man, he can be an alderman or a judge. You can have a title. So they basically people, they're captive people, but they have titles in the land. Respected titles. So I'm going to read that again, verse 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So they basically, these higher ups of the oppressed people, they're not with it. We're not bowing down to your God, Nebuchadnezzar. None of them. Verse 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. So Nebuchadnezzar is furious. Bring them to me. Like who do they think they are? Verse 14. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? So he say he want to hear it from them directly. Verse 15. Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye should be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that should deliver you out of my hands? So he's like, I put it out there. I told you what to do, and I told you the penalty. And who's going to save you? You got a God that's going to save you? You could have bowed down to my God, is what he's saying. Verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, We are not careful to answer thee in this matter. They said, man, look, we're gonna be bold about how we answer you with this. Verse 17. If it be so, our Elohim, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. He can get us out the furnace, and he can get us from under you too. Right? Verse 18. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. We're not worshiping your image or your God. We're not doing it. Verse 19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury. So he's really angry. He's really angry because they're telling him to his face now, not just the people that were sent to get him. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. So he turned the heat up on them. Look, you know what? I know the furnace is set here. Turn it up. You ever turn your thermostat up in the house? That's what he turned the thermostat up on this furnace. He was so furious at them because they were bold to say, no, we're not bowing down to you. And they said it to his face. Verse 20. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. So he got his strongest men to tie them up and put them in the furnace. Now watch this. Verse 21. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. So the strong men put them in the furnace. Verse 22. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace is seething hot, it's stewing in there, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now the fire done killed the strong men from the army. They dead. They put these men in the furnace and they burnt up, the men that put them in there. Verse 23. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fire. Verse 24. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished. He's astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? Didn't we put 3 men in the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. Yeah, we did. Verse 25. He answered and said, Lo means look, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. So the king answered back to these counselors. He said, look, check it out. I see 4 men loose. We put 3 in there, but I see 4. That's why he asked him in verse 24, didn't we cast 3 men? Well, I see 4 walking around. This 4th looks like the Son of God. Now, I'm going to stop there for a sec. Like I said, Christianity has a way of saying, you know what? You see that capital S? You see the Son with that capital S, the Son of God? That's him. That's the Christ of the New Testament. Right? But when you go into the tools, let's look at some other Bible comparisons. Okay, we just read from the KJV, like the Son of God, capital S right there. Yeah, somebody came along and they told you that's JC. That's the Christ of the New Testament. See that capital S? Did the same thing in the New King James, the NKJV. The Son of God, capital S. But look at the NLT. And the 4th looks like a God. When it says it like that, looks like a God, does it have the same bite? Does it have the same kick? Can you spin the same doctrine? Can you say, oh yeah, that's the God of the New Testament. That's Christ. No, it's harder to spin that doctrine now, right? What about the NIV? It says, looks like a son of the gods. Same thing, a son of God. Doesn't have that same kick, does it, Christians? No, I was taught the same things when I was Christian. When you see that capital S and the Son of God, that's him. Right here, the ESV that says the same thing, like a son of the gods. CSB, same thing, a son of the gods. So, yeah, most of these other translations says a son of the gods. A son of the gods. See that? Look at all these translations. Like a son of God. So it doesn't have the same kick when you see it like it does here. The son of God, the capital S. And when it said a son of the gods, there was no capital S either. You see what the enemy was doing? That's a nice little brainwashing that's going on right there. Get you to believe a doctrine. See, the Christian Bibles aren't my book of choice. You know, I prefer an actual Tanakh. But you just have to keep diving in. So we're going to keep going. We're not going to stop there. We're not going to stop there. Let's look at verse 26. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. So he kind of gave them props. He called them the servants of the Most High Elohim. You see that? He's giving them props. Watch this. Verse 27. And the princes, governors, and the captains, and the king's counselors being gathered together saw these men. So they saw what happened. Upon whose bodies the fire had no power. The fire didn't do nothing to them. Nor was an hair of their head singed. Neither were their coats changed. Nor the smell of fire had passed on them. They didn't even smell like smoke. Verse 28. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the Elohim of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own Elohim. So he gave them props. And you all trusted in your Elohim. You kept saying, our Elohim is going to deliver us from your fiery furnace. He's going to deliver us from your power, from what you're trying to do to us. You all had faith in him. You trusted in him. And he sent his angel. It didn't say he sent JC. It didn't say this angel. The Most High sends angels. You read scripture, he sends them to do some of his work. He's done it often. He didn't say go worship this angel or anything like that. He didn't say this angel would die for your sins. He would be your real redeemer. He didn't. He just sent them to do a job. It's on behalf of him. It's all about the Most High. That was a perfect opportunity for the Most High right there to say, Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the Elohim of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent JC. It didn't say that. He sent JC. Most High has angels, and we know some of the higher up angels like Michael, what they call Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, and others. He has angels. This is not talking about JC. And those of you all who are sincere in your journey and not just trying to defend what you believe and actually find out if what you believe is true, you have to take all these scriptures, because there's nothing prophetic about this, number one. Number two, there's nothing that says this is JC at all. That's just your belief. Somebody told you that, taught you that, and you ran with it. So you have to go back through all those scriptures that you were taught was JC, and you have to do the same thing we just did. You got to read. You have to read for context. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. And I hope this was edifying. I hope it helps. And till next time, Israel, I bid you shalom.